Hey guys, welcome to another huge episode of Triggered. Hope everyone's doing well. We've got a lot to get into today. I hope you've all had a great week. I've had a pretty exciting week myself. I got married. I think you guys probably know Bettina, and so we had an awesome small ceremony in the Bahamas. Was just absolutely cool. I'll shoot you. I think I got some video, so I'll post that up here in a little bit once we get through the usual stuff. But you may want to check it out, get a little glimpse at what's going on or what actually happened. And contrary to everything you may or may not have been reading over the weekend, none of which was actually accurate, but doesn't stop them from writing it. We'll have some fun with it. So let's get into a breakdown of all the top headlines. I'll talk a little bit about the wedding later on, and we'll get right into it. Sorry that we're doing the show on Friday. Okay, like I said, I just got back yesterday. It was a little scrambling and, trying to enjoy the last of that. So figured do the show right, do it when we're not panicking to get it done, and I think you'll enjoy it a little bit more. So sorry about the Friday night episode. Sorry we missed Thursday, but I think you'll enjoy it. Guys, make sure that you're liking, sharing, and subscribing so you never miss one of these major episodes. If you missed the show here on Rumble, go over to Apple Podcasts, go over to Spotify, catch it there. For all of the top headlines that we cover on the show, go check out my news app, MXM News, like minute by minute, where you can get the mainstream news without the mainstream bias. And of course, don't forget about our brave sponsors for having the guts to support this program. That's a big deal. Support those who share your values. Sponsors like All Family Pharmacy. After everything we saw during COVID and the cover-up, saying we have trust issues with the so-called experts is probably an understatement, guys. They used pressure, lies, red tape to block access to medications that were once easy to get. That can't happen again. And with All Family Pharmacy, it won't. All Family Pharmacy is redefining healthcare. No waiting rooms, no delays, no insurance games. Just direct access to over 200 trusted medications, including ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, antibiotics, emergency kits, and so much more. You can customize your order, have it shipped straight to your door. So go to allfamilypharmacy.com/DONJR, Don Jr., allfamilypharmacy.com/Don Jr., and use promo code DonJr20, DONJR20, for 20% off of your first order. Again, that's allfamilypharmacy.com/Don Jr., or use promo code DonJr20 for 20% off at checkout. And guys, we have another familiar face sponsoring the show now, Goldco. Gold just surged past $5,000 an ounce. Silver blew past 100. And the U.S. just added silver to the critical mineral list, meaning it's now considered crucial for American security and economic survival. This isn't speculation. This is real. That's why I've renewed my partnership with the #1 rated gold company, Goldco. A+ rated by the BBB, the Better Business Bureau, and they've helped Americans place over $3 billion in gold and silver. So visit donjrgold.com, DONJRgold.com, to get a free 2026 gold and silver kit. And because you're part of this audience, you get up to 10% back in bonus silver or gold just for getting started. Again, that's donjrgold.com. Do it now. Educate yourself. What do you have to lose? Now, let's get into it. And I want to start with the Trump account's launch, because this one sounds simple, but it tells you everything about the difference between the two sides. For years, Democrats talked about helping families. They talked about fairness. They talk about equity. They talk about equity nonstop. They talk about closing the gap. And what did they actually deliver? Inflation, crime, open borders, government forms, broken websites, dead programs, bureaucrats who somehow always get paid before the family does. The Trump approach is different, right? Remember what Obamacare did to insurance? Oh, yeah, everyone's going to get insurance, and your premiums went up 500%, and you basically couldn't have insurance unless you got hit by a bus. You'd never cover your deductible, the usual. The Trump approach, guys, again, is different. Put the tools directly in the hands of the family. Let the parents see it. Let kids actually learn from it. Let young Americans have a stake in the country. And Secretary Bessent put it really well at the White House earlier this week. Check it out.
Trump accounts, I believe, are the most important benefit for young people since the GI Bill. Today, the app is now available on all major platforms, bringing the president's vision directly to American homes. Nearly 6 million American children have been signed up for Trump accounts, which will launch on July 4th. And I would encourage all of you to go to trumpaccount.gov to sign up.
That's the difference. Not another poverty program that turns into a slush fund. Not another federal acronym no one actually understands and probably doesn't do what it's supposed to do. Not another consultant class getting rich off of programs that never actually reached the people they were built for. A real account, a real tool that you can track in real time. A way to teach kids early that ownership matters, saving matters, investing matters, and that America is still the place where your future gets bigger when the government gets out of the way. Check it out.
38% of Americans have no exposure to equities. They don't share in the great innovation, the machine that is the American economy, our great capital markets, which drives our prosperity. So if your child is born during President Trump's administration, Treasury puts in $1,000 as a seed investment. We've also created 6 learning pods, so you can go online to the app that went up today and learn. And I think that this is going to be, I've been a big proponent of financial literacy, and I think this is going to be one of the greatest real-time financial literacy educations in history, because it won't be, there's a street in New York called Wall Street. This is what I don't really understand what happens there. American family is going to be able to look on their phone every day and see. And, I think it's going to drive people to try to understand what they've got here. I think we're going to create a generation of shareholders.
Financial literacy, guys. It's not some elective you take in high school and forget 2 weeks later. It's a culture. It's discipline. It's telling young people you are not just a consumer. You are not just a dependent. You're not just another person waiting for Washington to rescue you. You can build, you can own, you can compound, and you can plan. And of course, the left hates that, right? It's why, the liberals at the teachers union don't teach any kind of financial literacy in any high school classes, right? You can learn the 4,398 genders, but how to balance a bank account, your checkbook? Nah, can't teach that. How interest actually works? No. Not till after you sign up your student loans for your degree in underwater trans basket weaving that you'll never use, but somehow have to pay interest on that $500,000 in debt for the doctoral program that you took in something that no one's ever going to hire you for. The left, they hate ownership because ownership makes people independent, and independent citizens do not need left-wing managers. They do not need race hustlers. They do not need NGO consultants. They do not need a bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. telling them which approved grievance category they belong in or creating new ones to really fit them perfectly. So when you see something like the Trump accounts, understand what it really is. It's not just a financial product. It's a worldview. The left wants permanent dependency. We want ownership. The left wants voters trapped in programs. We want families building wealth. The left wants children taught that America is rigged and evil. We want children taught that America is still worth investing in. And that's a massive difference. And by the way, that same difference shows up when you talk about fraud. Because if you actually care about American families, you cannot let fraudsters loot the programs that are meant to serve them. You cannot let criminals steal the money and then call it compassion. You can't let a political machine siphon off taxpayer dollars and then lecture everyone else about empathy and equity. And now, the White House anti-fraud push is putting real pressure on that whole machine. The White House task force to eliminate fraud has already exposed tens of billions, guys, in defrauded taxpayer money, prosecuted fraudsters, and stopped suspicious payments. These are crooks and thieves who've basically been operating in plain sight for far too long. Check this out. Watch J.D. Vance talking about just this.
As Andrew very ably pointed out, these are not victimless crimes. Sometimes the most vulnerable people in our community are the ones who suffer when we don't take fraud seriously. One of the cases that was part of Colin's series of indictments last week in Minnesota stood out to me, and I think highlights how particularly egregious some of these fraudsters can be. And it's a man who was supposed to be providing services to allow elderly people to live full and independent lives. And what happened instead is that the man who was supposed to provide these services, reimbursed by the Medicaid program, was providing nothing. No services, no help, no check-ins. And the very man, the vulnerable elderly man that he was supposed to be protecting and looking after, was reimbursed by the taxpayer in order to do exactly that. That man died. And one day before he died, after months of being neglected by the caretaker who was getting reimbursed by the American people, one day before he died, he submitted his final reimbursement for services he never provided for a man he never cared for. And that man lived his final moments on this earth neglected, while a fraudster got rich by providing services that he never actually provided. That's what we're trying to stop, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we have to fight back against. It's a shame that anything like that happens. But if it does happen, the only way to protect those people and the only way to protect the American taxpayer is to ensure that the fraudsters go to prison and that they stop this ridiculous scam on the American people.
That's the thing. Fraud is not victimless. And the left never wants to say that. They want to tell you that auditing the system is cruel, that verifying eligibility is mean, that asking questions is somehow hateful. But you know what's hateful? Letting criminals rob programs blind while honest Americans get squeezed. You know what's cruel? Letting organized rings steal from hospice patients, from Medicare and student aid, pandemic relief, and then telling taxpayers that they just need to pay more. That is what the old system did. It protected fraud because fraud kept the machine running. And when normal Americans asked, where did the money go? The answer was always, you're not allowed to ask that. Well, now we're asking. And they are finding all of the things. Hospice fraud, home health fraud, SNAP, food stamps fraud, pandemic fraud, student aid fraud, government contract fraud. And every time they pull one thread, the whole sweater starts coming apart. That's why the reaction is so intense. They're not scared because Trump is exaggerating. They're scared because he's actually looking. And when Trump looks at these systems, the scams, they start showing themselves. That same standard is now showing up on law and order. The White House put out a clip this week with a simple message. When law and order is restored, safety follows. And guys, this is not complicated at all. Check it out.
So I'm thrilled to welcome everyone to the 12th cabinet meeting of our administration, and we're doing something that no administration's ever done. We're always letting the press join us because we're very open and transparent. We took the most dangerous, unsafe, violent, and open border in the world. Anywhere in the world, there's no border like the border we had, and created the most secure border in the history of our country. We had no people, 12 months now, no people reported in the last 12 months. We achieved the largest drop in the murder rate ever recorded to the lowest level in 125 years. That's the year 1900. Fentanyl coming across our border is now down by 61%. 61%. And coming in by water, by sea, by ocean is down 97%. We passed the largest tax cuts in American history. All Democrats voted against the tax cuts, putting more money in Americans' pockets. This year, the typical family got tax refunds of nearly almost close to $5,000. The stock market has set 68 all-time record highs since the election. The average 401k is up almost $30,000 since I took office. We're delivering record-setting discounts on prescription drugs with price differences of $400, $500, and even 600% at the TrumpRx.gov. We were paying the highest drug prices in the world. Now we're paying the lowest drug prices in the world. It's the biggest thing to happen in the drug industry ever, maybe. Ever. And the press doesn't even want to write stories about it. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world, as you know. You saw what we did with Venezuela. That worked out very quickly. And we're doing really equally as well with, but again, people don't want to write about it, with Iran. With Operation Epic Fury, our warriors are ensuring that the world's #1 state sponsor of terror never obtains a nuclear weapon, and they won't. The White House Task Force to eliminate fraud is waging war on waste, fraud, theft, and abuse like nobody's ever seen before. In 2 months, we've exposed tens of billions of dollars of defrauded taxpayer money, prosecuted numerous fraudsters, Todd, and stopped billions of suspicious payments, very suspicious. Oh, you haven't seen anything yet? Well, you see, I'm getting reports from Todd, from JD. I've never seen anything like it. The kind of, just hundreds of billions of dollars was stolen.
The left spent years telling you that crime was complicated. There's nuance to this. The border, it's complicated. You wouldn't understand. You're a simple person that sees themselves getting screwed, but you just don't get it. There's more to it. Drugs were complicated. Violent repeat offenders were somehow complicated. Homeless encampments were complicated. Sanctuary policies were complicated. No, they weren't. None of it was complicated. They were choices. They chose not to enforce the law. They chose not to cooperate with ICE. They chose not to prosecute. They chose not to clean up the streets. They chose not to protect citizens. And now, when law enforcement starts doing the job once again, the contrast hits you immediately. And that brings me to Virginia. DHS is calling out what they describe as another horrific consequence of sanctuary policies. An illegal alien in Arlington County was arrested and charged with sexual battery after police say a woman was attacked in a stairwell of a residential parking garage. DHS also said he had prior charges, including rape, sexual assault, property damage, drug possession, and larceny. He was coddled under Biden and local Virginia sanctuary city policies. If ICE lodges a detainer on someone with that kind of background, why is that person back in the community? What theory of government says that the innocent woman in that parking garage should take the risk so some sanctuary politician can feel morally superior? So when Democrats create that danger, then scream about enforcement being too visible, what they're actually saying is, we are on the side of the criminals, and hope that voters don't connect the dots and the consequences. Just look at the left-wing violence outside another ICE facility in New Jersey.
You will kill your whole fucking family. Your whole fucking family is dead. Come on. Your children, your wife, all dead. Put it, my boy. I have your face, motherfucker. You're dead. Dead. Boy, to back up and put your stick down, because I'm about that life. You say come on? You say come on, right? Yeah, it's small now. Put your stick down. Tell your boys to back up. I'm about that life, my boy.
But the left has somehow convinced itself that criminals are the victims and officers are the criminals. And it's not just here at home. In fact, it's even worse, shockingly, over in Europe, where this insanity has been totally normalized, all in the name of diversity and tolerance. For example, shouts of Allahu Akbar could be heard at least by 3 people who were stabbed in Switzerland train station this weekend, in yet another case, where normal people watched the street get handed over to the chaos. And then they ask the obvious question: when is enough enough? When do people finally step up? When do we put an end to this insanity? Everyone sees it. Everyone knows it's going on. Okay, they see it. They complain about it. They've been put into a corner. When do those people say, it's time to get rid of the politicians who enabled it? It's time to protest the insanity. Check this out. Again, guys, when is enough enough? The adults are in charge. Remember that one when they said the adults are in charge now under Biden? Yeah. They spent years telling you that the Western world, that the consequences were mean. And then everything got more dangerous. People got raped. They got attacked. They live in fear. They can't walk to their local grocery store. And normal people know it. They may not know every statute. They may not know every case. They may not know every crime. They may not know every immigration category. But they know this. If someone is here illegally and they have a violent record and ICE can remove that person, remove that person. That's not extremism, okay? I mean, honestly, that's government doing the bare minimum. That's common sense, which has been far too uncommon as of late. And the people making that harder should have to answer for every victim created by their policies, which, by the way, is targeting Americans every single day. Just this week, the FBI helped take down Prince Group in Cambodia, shutting down more than $8 billion in fraud, freeing nearly 2,000 trafficked workers, and arresting nearly 300 people. These scam compounds are modern-day criminal enterprises built to steal from Americans, launder money, exploit trafficked workers. And then they've been operating with impunity for far too long. How did it even get this far? How did no one even think about this stuff or getting involved? They target retirees. They target small business owners. They drain savings. They use human trafficking on the back end and financial fraud on the front end. And for years, people were basically told, good luck. File a complaint. Maybe someone will get back to you someday. Not anymore. Check out Kash Patel and the FBI takedown of the international scam compounds. That is what law enforcement should look like. Not going after parents at school board meetings, not having banks hand over records for people who bought Bibles or maybe a MAGA hat, not surveilling traditional Catholics, not cooking up political cases for the regime, going after the criminals, going after the traffickers, going after foreign scam rings, going after the people stealing and hurting Americans. That is the job. When you put people in charge who believe America is worth defending, the agencies start defending Americans again. When you put people in charge who believe the biggest threat is some mom at PTA meetings, the agencies become political weapons. They get weaponized like they've never been weaponized before. That is a choice. And right now, the whole point of the Trump posture is that America has leverage again. Now, while all of this is happening, the old guard is still trying to hide the receipts at home. And that brings me to Joe Biden. Because we're now learning that during the first debate, Jill Biden, his wife, Dr. Jill, I mean, she's a doctor, even, kind of. Dr. Jill, if Dr. Jill thought this, man, other doctors probably had to think it too, right? But even Jill Biden apparently thought Joe Biden was actually having a stroke. Watch.
Were you horrified as you saw it unfold?
I wasn't horrified, I was frightened because I had never, ever seen Joe like that.
With the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
Before or since? Never.
Or since?
Yes, or
You've
since.
never seen him like
Never.
that?
No.
What happened?
I don't know what happened. I mean, as I watched it, I thought, oh my God, he's having a stroke. And it scared me to death.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts. And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Why?
I mean, it's interesting, right? The media was telling us Joe Biden, he had a bad cold. What was it? Joe Scarborough, this is the strongest Biden we've ever seen. While his wife thought he was having a stroke. Frankly, while most of America thought he was having a stroke, but it was no different at that debate than it was any other time he picked up a mic, right? He was always having a stroke. And now, Biden is suing the Trump Justice Department to block the release of audio files connected to the Robert Hur investigation, where Joe apparently couldn't even comprehend the questions he was being asked and could barely answer them. Again, the media spent years pretending everyone who raised questions about Biden's condition and his cognitive decline was somehow a conspiracy theorist. Then the debate happened. Then the cover-up collapsed. Then suddenly the same people who called you crazy started writing books about how obvious it was, how they all knew all along. That was the ploy, obviously, to install Kamala Harris. Now, Biden is in court trying to keep the audio and the transcripts from the public. And my father was asked about it, and here's how he summed it up.
President Trump, thank you so much for having us in here today. What are your thoughts? Why do you think that Joe Biden is trying to sue the Department of Justice, former President Joe Biden, to have his tapes that he did interviews on blocked from the American people hearing them? Do you think that he's trying to hide something? And maybe Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche could comment on if they will countersue and release those tapes to the American public.
Are you talking about it with respect to his book?
With respect to his memoirs.
I'd like to see it. I don't know. Maybe there's some constitutional reason. I don't know. I would like to see what he has to say, because we can never allow what happened to this country to happen. The man was grossly incompetent, and the Democrats, I call them the Democrats because the policy is so bad, but they came very close to destroying our country. We can never let it happen again, and I hope that you're able to produce that. I think it would be very interesting reading for people.
They told you democracy dies in darkness. Okay, turn on the lights. They told you no one is above the law. Great. Release the tapes. They told you congressional oversight is sacred. Given what I've seen, it's not so sacred and been totally weaponized and bastardized, but okay, let's pretend it's sacred. Give Congress the material. But no. When it's Trump releasing everything, leak everything, raid the House, indict the lawyers, bankrupt the family, humiliate everyone around him. When it's Biden, suddenly, guys, privacy matters a lot. Suddenly, context and nuance, they matter. Suddenly, we have to protect the dignity of the office. Give me a break. The dignity of the office was damaged when the media and the Democrats lied to the American people about who was actually running the country. The dignity of the office died a little bit more each and every time Joe Biden took the mic. And even more when the media defended the absurdity that we were listening to. The dignity of the office was damaged when they told us a man was sharp as a tack while everybody behind the scenes apparently knew there was a serious problem. The dignity of the office was damaged when the same DOJ that targeted Trump refused to give Congress the evidence in Biden's case. So no, they don't get to hide behind dignity now. Release the tapes. Let the people hear what happened. Let Congress do its job. And if everything was fine, why are they fighting so hard? That's always the question, isn't it, guys? If the donor platform is clean, why fight basic donor verification? If the grants are legitimate, why panic when auditors show up? If the border policy is compassionate, why do they keep having victims magically appear? If Biden was totally fine, why hide the audio? If the old system worked, why is every audit finding fraud? The answer is obvious. The old system did not work for you. It worked for them. And the moment someone starts challenging that, the moment that starts changing, they call it authoritarianism. That word's become meaningless coming from these people. Auditing fraud, it's authoritarian, Removing criminal illegal aliens, authoritarian. Asking for voter ID, apparently that's authoritarian. Okay? How? Why? This is what I mean when I say consequences have come back. Find them, charge them, make examples out of them. Not because of politics, because civilization cannot function if every left-wing lunatic with a phone thinks he can send armed police to someone's home because he does not like a court decision. And by the way, contrast all of that with what Vice President Vance said at the Air Force Academy this weekend. He talked about what a future battlefield with AI would look like and why the stakes have never been higher. Check it out.
You know, this is the only commencement speech that I'm giving this year, and so I've watched a few highlights of graduation speeches where this or that corporate leader will discuss artificial intelligence, AI, and be met with literal boos. Now, you can't boo me. I'm the Vice President of the United States. But your fellow Americans are understandably, they're worried about AI, about how it will affect the labor market, how it will distribute resources, and how it has fundamentally changed how we interact with one another, our social lives. But the thing I worry about most with AI is how it will change warfare. Now, Pope Leo XIV, in a recent document, encouraged us as human beings not to outsource the most important moral decisions to digital technology. And I want to endorse that sentiment and make it more specific to each and every one of you. AI will inevitably change warfare. And of course, as you've learned over the last 4 years, it already has. But one of the things that makes Americans unique, that makes you as warfighters unique, is that we wage war justly. But when I say that we, all of us, wage war justly, I mean fundamentally that you must do so. Because you are the ones who execute. You are the ones who lead on the battlefield. You are the ones who ensure that our lethality in war, which is amazing and necessary, it also coexists with our heart and with our conscience. It is an incredible burden to put on your shoulders, but it is one that we entrust to you with full confidence. And if the warfare of the future is to live up to the moral values of our ancestors, decisions over life and death must be made by humans and not machines. So as AI transforms the battlefield, in some ways positively, in some ways not, I ask that you be jealous and selfish about your role as a decision maker in warfare. Use technology to make you better, but never submit to it. You are the masters of warfare, and both your minds, but also your hearts, are the opposite of artificial.
The left built a world with no consequences for the right people. And by the right people, I mean other leftists. They built a world with endless consequences for the wrong people on the right. If you were connected, protected, fashionable, useful, part of the machine, you could get away with almost anything. If you were a normal American asking basic questions, they came after you. That's backward. And the Trump standard is flipping it. Families should get tools to build wealth. Fraudsters should get prosecuted. Criminal illegal aliens should get removed. Police and ICE should be backed. Responsibility, consequences, America first. And one, maybe two more clips before we close, because may have to throw the wedding in here. Earlier this week, we observed Memorial Day. And I just want to say to the warriors standing their eternal watch, we will never forget your sacrifice. And as my father said, America's heroes have saved more lives, freed more captives, accomplished more good, and spread more hope than any other people at any time in the history of the world. Check this out.
The courage of the American warrior has forged a path through every sea and every place that's marked a trail to every corner on the earth. In 250 years, America's heroes have saved more lives, freed more captives, accomplished more good, and spread more hope than any other people at any time in the history of the world. Whole nations, no liberty today. Entire generations, no freedom. Billions and billions of people have been delivered from poverty, tyranny, and oppression because of the sacrifices we honor this day.
Guys, when a country is serious, it takes care of the people who defend it, protects the citizens who live in it, punishes the criminals who prey on it, and stops apologizing for its own existence. and that matters. So, on a lighter note, as I mentioned, I got married this weekend. Small ceremony, just a few friends and family on a friend's place in the Bahamas. It was absolutely magical. I got to marry the love of my life. Bettina has just been such an amazing person to me. I just have so much fun. I haven't had this much just fun, frankly, in a long time, despite all the nonsense that we deal with and the political prosecutions and persecutions and campaigns and ongoing nonsense. It's just been absolutely amazing. So we have a quick little video. I think they told us like pictures couldn't all of it take months to get there, and that's really more for us. But you guys are here. You've always been so great. So I wanted to give you a little glimpse into this incredibly magical day from me and for her, and thought you might really appreciate it. It was just an awesome experience. So check that out now. Let me know what you think. I'll check out the comments later on. If you guys like more, comment in here. I'm sure we'll come up with a bunch more longer form stuff because you're just going to see like the wedding stuff. But I mean, I went spearfishing with my brother, sons, and friends. I caught some bonefish on a fly rod. We made it like a fun just weekend getaway adventure. It's the kind of thing like, when you go to a wedding and it usually sucks and you're like, I'm at the wedding and it sucks. Like this was just a fun party for everyone the whole time. Maybe one day can get into some of the stories because there's some really good ones out of it. Again, as I mentioned earlier in the intro, don't believe everything that you read in the press because I'd read one article, then I'd read another article that was the opposite. Insiders know. It's like no one knew anything. No one was there. And the people that were there, if you're on that list, you weren't talking. So don't believe all of the nonsense. But it was just an awesome time, and check it out.
All right, here we are.
The night we met, I knew I needed you so. And if I had the chance, I'd never let you go. So won't you say you love me? I'll make you so good. We'll make them turn their heads every place we go. So won't you please be my little baby? Say you'll be my darling. Be my baby now, only baby.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that paid. I need a change in my life, cause I don't feel alive, and there's nothing that makes me happy. Hold my beer for a minute, I'm about to quit my job, cash in for a ticket. I'm going on a trip and I don't plan to visit. I'm gonna stay there till I feel like I'm winning, and this is just the beginning. I need a big change, help me feel like living. I need a big swing, home runs I'm hitting, and I'll never look back, moving on till I get it all.
Your bride. Donald J. Trump Jr.
Say you'll be my darling, be my baby now,
I hope you enjoyed that. Again, comment if you want more. As soon as I get stuff, some of it takes a while to put all together because it was like just nonstop. for a whole weekend. But if you like more, I'm sure we'll find it and we can show you some more. Just let us know if you actually care or if you want me just to keep ranting about politics and what's going on in the world. Either way, I had an awesome weekend. Family had an awesome weekend. It was really cool. And that's basically the show for today, guys. Sorry for doing it again on a Friday, but I think you understand. It was a little bit of a crazy week. Make sure you guys are liking, sharing, subscribing, okay? Get this out there to your friends. Share it with them. Check us out on iTunes. Check us out on Spotify if you get your podcast that way or if you have your friends get their podcast that way. Definitely check out our sponsors down below in the video description, okay? That's a big deal. It takes guts to support a show like this. Give them some love. Go check out and download MXM News so you can get the mainstream news without the mainstream bias. Like, share, subscribe. Do it right now. Hit the like button. Send it to a bunch of your friends. Even if they're not political friends, maybe some of the ladies or, people who are not political, maybe they like the wedding video, whatever it may be. But always, guys, remember to stay strong, stay informed, stay engaged, and always stay a little bit triggered. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you all again very soon.